Faced with stiff competition, GoPro continue to set the benchmark when it comes to action cameras, saying that the recent Yi 4K was enough to topple the Hero 4 Black, yet GoPro bounced back with a unit that could reconfirm their position as the king of action cameras, conveniently named the GoPro Hero 5 Black. A new GoPro flagship action camera has arrived 2 years after its predecessor, and it's ready to give you a new epic level of 4K video that, for the first time in 2 years, gives you a reason to upgrade your action camera. There's no GoPro Hero 5 Silver, instead the black version combines the best features of both editions with 4K video at 30 frames per second and a much needed interactive 2-inch touchscreen display. There's no external housing either. The new rubberized design is water resistant straight out of the box with no separate housing required. This could well be the GoPro we've been waiting for. With a new fresh looking packaging, the Hero 5 Black sitting proudly on top, included alongside the camera users will find a simple user guide, a curved and flat adhesive mount, a single higher capacity 1220mAh battery, and a new USB Type-C charge and sync cable. And that's it, there are no other mounts or accessories to get you started. Nevertheless, the GoPro Hero 5 Black camera itself brings about an entirely new design, and it's pretty nice. We still have complete compatibility with all previous mounting options thanks to the same thumbscrew and finger mount design GoPro made famous at the bottom. Although unlatching the top clasp releases the camera from its new style frame housing, which is a rather nice design and holds the camera seriously firm thanks to a slightly rubberized internal layer. The housing is minimal as it ignores the front and rear, meaning it looks significantly better than the Hero 4's alternative. When it comes to the camera itself, the company ditched the shiny silver front found in its previous models and traded it for a matte greyish rubbery finish that's not only easier to hold when it's out of its accompanying frame housing, but waterproof up to 10 meters on its own too. No bulky plastic cases to fumble about with. The large protruding camera lens remains in the top right corner on the front of the rectangular device, just like previous versions, distinguishing the Hero 5 Black as a GoPro. It does stick out slightly more than the Hero 4 variants, but that's because of its built-in waterproofing and protection. Although those into the more extreme sports will be pleased to know that just like the lens cover could be replaced with the Hero 4 housing, the same is true with the Hero 5, and with a simple twist and pull, which is a little harder in practice, the lens cover can be removed and replaced, making this a truly rugged camera. A small square monochrome display sits alongside the lens, although it's slightly smaller and more discreet than the Hero 4. There's also no black trimming, while the red recording LED has been moved to the top left corner, making it much less obvious. Branding is also less subtle, with a faint GoPro logo sitting under the lens, rather than being in big black capitals like the predecessors. The new Hero 5 has rounder, smoother edges than its predecessor, and although it is slightly larger, meaning it won't fit into some specific mounts and handheld gimbals, it is much more refined. All the ports have been covered, accessed by pushing in a button and sliding a flap down. The HDMI and a new USB Type-C port, thankfully getting rid of that outdated mini USB, are situated on one side of the device, while the removable battery and micro SD card slot are located under another flap beneath the camera. Bear in mind you'll want a high-speed card for that 4K recording at full 30 frames per second. In addition, the replacement lithium-ion battery is a notch better than before with its 1220mAh size, a step up from the previous 1160, but note the difference in physical dimensions, meaning previous battery collections will not be compatible, a slight annoyance but not a deal breaker by far. Moving on, the power and mode button has also moved onto the side of the camera, further refining the front, while the recording button is still easily accessible and unmissable on the top of the device. There's no longer any settings button though, because all settings can now be accessed directly from the 2-inch touchscreen on the rear. Finally, the flagship GoPro camera comes with a built-in touchscreen, meaning it's no longer necessary to use the GoPro Capture app to change settings or buy a separate screen to attach to the back. It makes settings much more accessible with a new streamlined menu system that's easy to use. Changing modes are a single tap away, as well as resolutions and frame rates all being lined across the bottom of the screen. There's no more scrolling between endless options when changing simple settings, rather than pressing numerous buttons and hoping you don't pass the wrong one and end up back at the beginning. Swiping gestures provide easy access to advanced camera settings, which GoPro called ProTune, as well as playback and connectivity menus, all a single swipe away. Talking of connectivity, the GoPro app is still there, although renamed to Capture. Connectivity is strong, making settings easy to change just like before, as well as provide the ability to create and upload simple edits. The live view is relatively lag-free, not as instant as the onboard screen, but good enough. Very useful for controlling your GoPro remotely, but not as necessary as it was with the predecessor. I did, however, notice inconsistencies with the battery level, but otherwise the app worked really well. With the plastic frame housing on the Hero 5 Black, swiping down from the top of the touchscreen is a little fiddly and it takes a few goes to get used to, but once you're in, navigating is a piece of cake, as it's selecting various options available. There is a little bit of lag in some places, but on the whole the touchscreen is very responsive, images are crisp and relatively sharp, and it generally makes using the camera so much easier. Another great new feature introduced with the GoPro Hero 5 Black is voice control. Voice commands including instructions such as GoPro start recording, GoPro stop recording, GoPro take a photo. There's even GoPro turn off. These are the ones most will use quite frequently, and most of the time it recognizes commands and works flawlessly. Moving on, the camera will capture 12 megapixel images, offer access to RAW files, and it will also capture HDR-like photos, which GoPro called WDR. Video image stabilization is also finally on board, which we'll take a look at shortly, while GPS tagging is also a nice added extra. The Hero 5 Black also now offers built-in stereo sound and wind noise reduction, the latter of which works really well. GoPro increased the audio range of the Hero 5 Black by 10 decibels compared to the Hero 3 Plus, and the new device is also said to have twice the dynamic range. On the whole, audio results are clear with no muffling, as has been the case with previous devices due to the housing restrictions. That's no longer the case, it's all rather impressive. The Hero 5 has a slightly higher capacity battery over its predecessor, but as mentioned it's a different shape, so you'll need to buy spares all over again. Nevertheless, the battery is removable and it's charged through the USB Type-C connector, which is more useful than the previous mini USB variant and can fully charge a battery in around 45 minutes. Based on my experience, I was able to capture around 2 hours of footage before the battery died on me, although this is dependent upon how much you fiddle with the touch screen. The screen itself uses a lot of power, so it's best to set the options that suit your shoot and then try and stick with it. Video quality is as we would expect from a flagship GoPro. It's fantastic. I've been trying several settings across several different scenarios and the results are all brilliant. Nice, colourful, vivid shots with good levels of detail and ideal sharpness. I honestly can't see how you could possibly get any better from such a small sensor. It's really that impressive. The beauty lies in the fact that you can simply just press record and have decent shareable footage on your smartphone or computer in just a few minutes. Yes, you might need to do a little editing, although there's the GoPro app for that too, to make things as easy as possible. In addition to the returning fields of view of Super View, Wide, Medium and Narrow, there's a new linear mode for less distortion from the normal wide angle view. That means fewer edits are required as it reduces the typical fisheye look that GoPro made famous. And it all works wonderfully well. No matter the field of view or resolution, the quality seems to have slightly bumped up from the Hero 4 Black thanks to that souped up sensor inside the camera. A much requested new feature, video stabilization, has also been added to the camera, and while it's digital only, it does a pretty decent job in smoothing out otherwise shaky and unwatchable footage. As an entire package, GoPro really have produced something mighty special. This is the GoPro we have always been waiting for. The predecessors offer great results too, but the new Hero 5 adds more than enough to warrant an upgrade, and not just because of the great image and video quality. The touchscreen being part of the GoPro Black Edition design is a very welcome addition, which makes using the action camera far simpler than ever before. Then there's the main unit's waterproofing without the need for that bulky housing, which brings plenty of added benefits to design, style and audio capture. Couple those with voice control, video image stabilization, the ability to capture a more natural perspective, and there's really very little to complain about. Yes, battery life could always be better, and the new shape means Hero 4 batteries won't be compatible, which is a pain and an added expense, but they are removable, so provide users the option to replace the batteries and shoot for longer periods of time. There are more features to test with the Hero 5, and we'll cover those in further depth in future videos. For now though, GoPro really have produced something special here. Whether you're looking to upgrade or you're new to the world of GoPro, the Hero 5 modernizes the series and ultimately reinforces GoPro's position as king of action cameras.